Hello and welcome, exiles who have become travelers to play last Epoch. I want to talk about my league start plans for the season 2 Tombs of the Erased, and I'm getting real pumped about Void Knight and specifically the new changes they've done to Time Rot as a dot build combined with the new Devouring Orb. Check out this change they did to Devouring Orb. It got me freaking pumped.
Including a node that instantly casts it for you whenever you move. No more numlock needed, and no.
So in other words, this skill Devouring Orb, this cool looking purple orb, now has a node that you can click to essentially automate it to just shoot around while you map. So you'll see it's just instantly casting
every
here.
time it casts.
And then it's inflicting damage. And that to me looks like a lot of fun. I am a big Righteous Fire automated sort of like radius damage type of build. I love that sort of thing. And the Void Knight's aesthetics, like just the cool purple orbs and just dashing around and having things echo and stuff like that, it's pretty dang fun. Combine that with the fact Time Rot got some pretty big buffs, I think it'll be a good time. Whether or not it's going to be good, I don't really know. I'm just kind of winging it. As you may all know, I'm not necessarily a last Epoch main, but I've played it, I want to say usually like every other season, roughly thereabouts, maybe a little bit longer in gaps depending on how far back we go, but every time I usually have quite a bit of fun, and generally speaking, it's pretty forgiving. Even if you do make build mistakes, it's pretty easy to respec and change as you go along. My general plan is to have the Devouring Orb automated. That's with this node here, Abyssal Rush, auto cast while you're moving. And basically, we're just going to be dashing around, having our orbs get automatically cast for us, while also looking at casting Smite for single target in terms of applying the best possible Time Rot debuff possible. The thing about Time Rot and the biggest rework that happened to it is, number one, you can prolif it. So let's say you inflict it on an enemy, it will kill that enemy and then prolif to the enemies next to it, which is huge for clear. But not only that, you can also have a ton of damage multipliers for it based on your chance to inflict slow, your chance to inflict Time Rot in general. And if you invest into attack and cast speed, it looks like that also is a multiplier with this Rot Grip node. It does require you to be a Void Knight, as the important node Rot Grip, which is basically all your damage scaling, is after that 25 points. But the thing is, Void Knight has some really strong nodes in the back here. For example, Abyssal Fluctuation gives 20% less void damage taken, and it allows you to take elemental damage as void, which is pretty cool. So it has some damage taken as stuff going on, as well as quite a bit of DR through block, through armor. Sentinel, just as a base class, has a lot of pretty free defenses. In this game, you can also leech with your damage over time, so we'll have very high uptime on our Time Rots on the enemy leeching to us. Ultimately, late game, we could probably drop this node if we get Void Leech somewhere else, but that's the sort of thing we're going with. That's the angle. On top of all of that, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the skill choice. First of all, I have chosen to go with Devouring Orbs as an automated, just this cast while we map and inflicts as we run past enemies. It has some multiplier, 60% more here, along with Time Rot chance, along with some Void Pen, a little bit more multipliers here, and the ability to get a bunch of extra Void Res, Shred, and Slow chance. This is my current setup of what I think I'll go for on the tree. I don't think this is the best multiplier in terms of inflicting Time Rot, because Time Rot can have multipliers based on the skill that inflicts it, and technically we could go all consuming, which would be maybe one of the biggest multipliers you could get on Time Rot, but I think that will kill the quality of life, so I'm not convinced I want to do all consuming. I'm more thinking about doing Smite for our single target when we get to a chunkier rare. This 250% more damage probably is our best Time Rot inflictor. I'll be toying around with other things. Ultimately, if I can get Devouring Orb to deal more consistent damage or be competitive with Smite, maybe I'll try different things out. But right now, I'm thinking Devouring Orb, running around maps, just having that circling orb, prolifing Time Rots, just killing enemies as I walk by. And then when we get to tankier rares, going and proccing some Smites to do Time Rots as well. On top of that, we had Volatile Reversal, which I'm going to use primarily as a buff/travel skill. With the node over... Oh, I need to spec this node. I forgot to grab it. There is a node you can spec right here, which basically makes it so it never goes backwards. So whenever you're using the skill, you're always going forwards. And then on top of that, we're going to go for the very high cooldown, so it's much more often that we can cast it. This kills a bit of our travel distance, but the upgrade is we can get what should be pretty much close to permanent haste duration and good duration on armor applying to dots, as well as good duration on frenzy for some extra basically speed during maps and moving around. So that's my thought process there. I want to be a really fast, just walking around build. So we're getting permanent haste through volatile reversal, as well as technically it guarantees some echoes on our next proc. So every time I cast this, it's guaranteeing an echo, and that should work with our auto cast of Devouring Orb. As far as I've been told, now this could be baloney. I was told by people in chat that if I have immutable past, these buff nodes will work, even though we're not going to go reverse backwards. Obviously, I'm gonna have to test in game to verify, but they said they got their information verified by asking some people around. I don't really know if that's true or not, but that's what we're looking at. Volatile reversal as a travel slash buff skill. Then we have Abyssal Echoes, which is primarily a damage multiplier skill. With Abyssal Echoes, you can inflict Abyssal Decay, and you can make enemies take increased damage over time. You can also get additional Time Rot chance, as well as more damage versus blinded enemies, and you inflict blind through, you can get blind chance on Smite. And I think Abyssal Echoes with this might inflict blind as well, but I'm not 100% sure. On top of that, we also have the Abyssal Decay basically prolifing around in order to make sure that all these enemies are taking this large debuff to take increased damage over time. And yeah, this says blinds, so it should be inflicting blind as well, and we should have that fine. And then last but not least, obviously the skill you see it in pretty much every Sentinel build, Symbols of Hope is just super OP for a passive buff, and we're going to be using it for percent damage, block, some endurance threshold, as well as a bit of if you get gem levels on your relic, potentially you could get even more percent damage as well. That's just really good passive benefits. That's the plan for the skills. You can flame me if this is a stupid way to set up a sentinel, but this is the way I came up with, and we'll see how it goes. As for gearing, we're going to take advantage of the new set affixes. My thought process was the Forgotten Void Knight set gives us good Void Pen with Time Rot. It gives us damage multiplier with Time Rot. And all we have to do is basically seal some low-level affixes of the set affix shards, which will allow us to grab the set bonus, which pairs pretty nicely with basically a rare shield, a rare weapon, and a rare amulet. The thought process is on pretty much everywhere we can get it, we want percent damage, chance to slow, chance to inflict time rot, because those are our main damage multipliers. So for example, on the sword, we'll go for the base that has the percent damage over time. We'll try to get a high tier of void damage. We'll get a high tier of percent damage over time, chance to inflict slow, void pen, and of course, the mod that also inflicts haste for 1 second on hit. Late game, potentially this could give us good haste uptime without needing haste anywhere else. But for right now, I'm thinking haste through the volatile reversal makes sense. After that, on our other affixes, throughout the gearing, we'll do fun things like, for example, this Great Helm, this Sentinel base, pretty much just gets you crit immune with one low tier sealed affix for crit bonus reduction reducing, and then you can get things like gem levels to Devouring Orb, chance to inflict time rot, all that sort of stuff. All in all, the theme of the gearing is life, percent damage where you can get it, void pen if you get it, chance to inflict X ailments, whatever. And then in terms of making the character go fast, I think this is a really cool option. We can now guarantee at least one specific affix. So for example, if you get a 1 LP item, you can force a good outcome. And I was thinking, why not go for the speed boot outcome, which is Blood of the Exile, 1 LP, and then try to force on a T7 movement speed. This should be relatively farmable now that you can get, number one, you can re-roll T7 affixes, so that way, even if you're not finding T7 movement speed boots, you find other T7s, you can kind of force it to occur, as well as the Havoc rune allows you to basically swap T7s with other mods on the boots, so you can have a movement speed pair of boots that is not T7 with some other T7 mod and swap it around. So it seems pretty forcible to do something like this. And then we're thinking maybe DPS gloves like Attribute for pen, chance to slow. We could also go rare gloves here for the extra mitigation. And ultimately, super late game, there's some pretty good tank gloves, but those are required on either A, super rare drops like Ravenous Void, or giga hard drops to get like killing Uber Aberoths for the new gloves. So yeah, that's the thought process on the gearing. As for the Weaver tree, I'm gonna, I don't know how good loot lizards are. I didn't play the last season, but I'm gonna cope that loot lizards are good, and I'm gonna become a lizard enjoyer, as well as I'm gonna go for every targeted, basically slottable node on the tree where I can say, hey, give me more loot like this, and use that to target farm specific gear slots depending on what I'm going for. So yeah, that's the general overview of the tree and the plan for the character. I went through and just did a variety of idols just to give an idea of what affixes I thought would be relevant for the character. Ultimately, min-maxing, you might want to go specifically for like 4 of the 2x2s or something like that, like whichever relic ends up being has the best in slot mods. But I wanted to give basically a look at each different mod table you could pull for on the various 1x2s, 1x1s, 1x3s, because ultimately it kind of matters how good of an idol you drop in terms of how you set up your filter for what affixes you're looking for. And I just wanted to showcase good affixes you could find on the idol slots. Yeah, and then as for blessings, void damage or void res shred probably is ideal. Chance to apply slow or all res for this one could be good. I didn't have a lot of lightning res, so I grabbed a lightning res blessing. That might have been overkill. And then everywhere else, we have block effectiveness, armor. That's my plan for blessings. Hopefully this overview makes sense. My general plan for the character makes sense. I just wanted to share what I was planning to do. I don't know if it is going to work. I'm not really a LE pro per se. It's more or less just, I think it's a fun game to come up with an idea and just send it and see how far you can take it. Previously, I've done, I think last time I did a werebear low life character. That was a lot of fun pushing and seeing how far we could go. And we'll see how far we get this time with the Tombs of the Ray season. I'm pretty pumped because it seems like they're doing a lot of changes to endgame, adding a whole Atlas, basically passive tree like PoE, but with a lot of multipliers for specializing yourself in terms of what loot you want to go for. I, of course, am going to be playing a Circle of Fortune faction because I really like the SSF in this game. And yeah, that's my plan for the Tombs of the Race. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thanks for watching. Take care and peace out. Have a good one.